I'd like to call this special meeting into order. Will everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A special meeting has been called, requested by the council in regards to the events at the park, the market coordinators. I'm not sure who you are, but who are they here? Okay, just you, sir. Is it two? Okay. Because I've never met y'all before, but they'll be up and they'll be the ones that'll be able to speak to the council, and then the council will speak back in regards to what they passed on the last thing, and then I think Mayor Pro Tem Corbett has some stuff from the police chief that he wrote there. Yeah. So if y'all would like to start, you're more than welcome to come up, or if you would like for him to read that first, whatever you'd like to do, it's up to you.
Well, what I'd like to do, since you called the meeting, have to start.
All right, that'd be perfect. Fine, John. You want to go ahead and read the police report? But I'll tell you what. I'll just start it off by this is what the council passed on the June the 6th, 2022 meeting, and I'll just read the two that were passed by the thing. It says, and this was in regards to the special events discussion regarding regulations. And it just says, require the applicants of a medium or a large event to retain qualified, dedicated persons to provide parking and traffic control before, during, and after the event. Dedicated persons can be volunteers, private companies, or the town police force. Before Memorial Day and after Labor Day, a minimum of 2 dedicated persons is required. From Memorial Day through Labor Day, a minimum of 3 dedicated persons is required. That was number 3. And number 4 on this list when they went through here was, due to the limited number of parking spaces within the town, requires that the applicant contact each business property owner to request use of their private parking areas for event patrons, obtain permission or denial in writing to submit with applications. If a denial is received, applicant must provide adequate description and means to prevent patrons from using the denied area. All right, and then you've got the police report thing that I think this stems from
Chief Clammer cannot be here today. And so he wrote a letter giving his position, and I will read that now. The subject is Pure Market. It's Dear Mrs. Anglin. Sunset Beach continues to see growth in permanent residents and guests to our beautiful town. We are not unique, as Brunswick County is one of the fastest growing counties in the state. The influx of permanent and transient residents can be seen at events like the Pure Market held in the town park each Thursday. I have watched the market grow in popularity over the years and have observed how this growth has impacted parking, area businesses, and the state boat ramp. On June 16, 2022, I spent several hours at the market in an effort to help regulate traffic and control parking. As you know, the burden of parking and traffic control was put on the market organizers, but has yet to be entirely addressed. This was evident at last Thursday's market, as I only observed a market organizer addressing parking-related issues on 2 occasions during my time there. I spent most of my time at the June 16th market, moving between Sunset Boulevard, the boat ramp lot, and Shoreline Drive West, monitoring traffic and parking. What is unique about the market versus other events is that people who come to the market only stay for a short while, make their purchases, and leave. Other events held throughout town have an influx of traffic at the start of the event and then at the end of the event, when everyone leaves mostly at once. The market has a constant turnover of traffic and guests. Vehicles at the market continuously circle the area looking for a place to park. If the parking at the market is not managed for the duration of the event, it can quickly become very disorganized. In addition to the vehicle traffic for the market, there is traffic for other businesses, the boat ramp, and vehicles simply passing through that are affected if traffic and parking is not controlled. Last week, I had to assist a delivery truck into the boat landing restaurant because the truck had to back in and the traffic in the area would not yield. I also watched as several trucks with boat trailers had vehicles and pedestrians crossing behind, in front, and to the sides as they attempted to back down the ramp, making for a dangerous situation. Public Works recently painted crosswalks in the park area to assist with safe crossing of Sunset Boulevard. During the market, I watched people cross Sunset Boulevard and Shoreline Drive West at the nearest point possible, paying no attention to the designated crosswalks. Pedestrians were observed crossing in several directions from all points on Sunset Boulevard near the park. Much of our administrative staff and several of our road patrol officers assisted with traffic and parking at the June 16 event. I believe that traffic congestion and parking issues will continue to be present if not adequately managed. I cannot pull resources each week for the duration of the market, as it is not fair to taxpayers and visitors who also expect our services during this time. In order to dedicate officers to the market for its duration, extra officers will have to be called in at the expense of the market organizer. This is no different from what we do for other high-impact events such as the half marathon. I have been involved in conversations with the market organizers, and our direction was made clear that they need to be responsible for parking and traffic control. This can be accomplished by the use of trained volunteers, for-hire companies, or town's police force. Depending upon the direction of the organizer, I will gladly educate any outside persons or group on what is expected during the market. It is my belief that there needs to be coverage on Sunset Boulevard in the area of the boat ramp, Sunset Boulevard at Shoreline Drive West to the area near the memorial, and Shoreline Drive West near the fire department at a minimum. The persons or group managing parking and traffic will need to be mobile, as the impact on the area is high and widespread. Our focus is the safety of the public. We want to ensure that everyone who is passing through, attending the market, or visiting a local business can do so safely. The use of dedicated, trained persons assisting with congestion at the market is necessary to ensure the safety of all who reside, work, or visit the area. Sincerely, Kenneth J. Clammer, Chief, Sunset Beach Police Department. May I make a remark?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. The market is extremely popular. It's been a very good thing and continues to be a very good thing for the town. And the objective of this meeting is not to close the market. The objective of this meeting is to point out ways that the market coordinators can go about taking care and managing traffic safety so that it can be done safely. And the lessons learned from this are already being applied to any other special events that are conducted in the town. So, as I said, the objective is not to close the market, is to find out how to run the area directly outside the market safely and for the benefit of everybody. With that, I'll also just say I've been involved directly and with my wife for probably close to 10 years now in the market. And if anybody has any doubts about whether or not I support it, I'll be glad to explain to you in the future. But this isn't about supporting the conduct of the market or the vendors. This is about how we do it safely, conduct safely, the traffic control and movement through the area. So, Mike, you have something?
Yeah, just a couple of comments that I have for everybody and those listening on YouTube. The market, as I know it, is a private enterprise, and it's being run in our town park. There's nothing wrong with a private enterprise being run in our town park, or anywhere in the town. If we feel that it's a positive thing for our town, positive thing for our residents and our visitors, we can run it. However, our town and its taxpayers cannot fund this private enterprise in any way. That's pretty much against the law. And so as a private enterprise, those who are in charge of the market must be responsible for all facets of a successful market. And obviously, where things have fallen short this spring is dealing with public safety, as the chief or John just read. Traffic control, pedestrian control, and parking have been consistent issues throughout the springtime here. And so something's got to be done about it. It has to be the responsibility of the owners of the market. The town can't continually fund public safety on Thursdays. We only have 3 policemen on duty. They all come here. They're not on the beach. They're not on the island. They're not around town. They have to be at their duty stations where they're supposed to be. And the public safety of the people at the market must be taken care of by the owners of the market. That's pretty crucial, and it's got to happen in the future. The bottom line is, as far as I'm concerned, all facets of this successful event, and it is a successful event, there's no question as far as the market is concerned and what the market does and how people come to it, it's great. But public safety has to be recognized, it has to be addressed, and it has to be taken care of. There's no question about that. The police mentioned the road race, for example, the road race that took place in the spring here. The organizers came to the town, went through all the routes for all the races they had that day, all the intersections that were so important. They paid to have police at all those intersections, and it was a very safe event. A second event that just took place, one of the organizers is here, is Pausability. And they got a bunch of volunteers. Now, on a scale from 1 to 10, how perfectly that worked, I'd give it a 3.5 maybe. But they certainly got the volunteers and worked to make it successful. They'll be much better next year because those volunteers will get training and they know it. So, we're looking forward to next year on that, and it'll work much better. But we have got to be able to have the organizers of these events, especially when they're private enterprises, they have got to pay for what happens. If the owners of the market refuse to be responsible for public safety in the future, they're telling us the market should not continue, period. If they want to continue to market, they must follow the town rules and put together a safety plan and carry it forward. That's all there is to it. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr.
I supported the park, buying the land for the park from day one. And I've supported the market since the Merchants Association ran it. And then whatever happened with them, I've supported it since then, since Chris and Jim have been running it. They know I come to the market. They know I go. We buy things. I got to tell you, Thursday, I wanted to go to the market, and I got as far as the old bridge and thought, not today. I turned around at the old bridge, and people would not let me get across the street to go back home. I finally had to pull my way in. And I thought, what rude people, how am I going to hold them up? But all they care about is getting to that market, finding a place to park and shop. I'm not against the market. I don't want to see the market go away. But like Mike said, and this has been my main point with the whole thing, the taxpayers of Sunset Beach cannot support a private enterprise. And sadly, if Chris and Jim don't want to follow the town rules, then we're going to have to take drastic measures. That's all I have.
You're welcome. Mr. Wilson, go to the thing. Or Miss Wilson, go ahead.
Chris Wilson, 410 29th Street. I just want to address something that was said, and it's a misconception. I probably should let my husband speak to this, but he had a meeting with Chief Clamar, Miss England, and it was agreed upon that we could not put a plan in place in 6 days. So the understanding, which I think Chief Clamar went back and re-explained to Miss England, was not an expectation of us having the safety plan in place last week. So if there is a thought that Pure Markets does not want to comply with town rules. That is not true. We have complied consistently with every rule that the town has. Everything the town has asked us to do. This came upon us suddenly. And we have been working, and my husband will explain what measures we have taken to get a group of people together. And we feel they need to be trained and instructed by Chief Clamar for safety and liability. We have not ever ignored the wishes of council. We have not disrespected the park. We appreciate being there. We understand it's a place for the whole community. And I truly believe that we have created something valuable for the community. So with that being said, we have taken steps, and my husband will explain and give each of you a copy of what steps we have taken, what we're going to do for Thursday, and what we're willing to do from now on. But what upsets me is that it seems that everyone here has an idea that Pure Markets wants to possibly defy the town. We have done nothing but indicate we've wanted to work with the town. We have always worked with the town. And we don't, we really can't identify any safety issues, but that's fine. There's never been a fender bender. There's never been a pedestrian accident. There's never been an emergency call to the town. We feel that we have run a very safe market that is an asset to this community. And we continue to do that. Now, this is new to us. We have to have a chance to put a plan together. We can't just send people out and stand on corners and safely expect them to know how to police parking and pedestrian crossing. We need some training and instruction in this. So I just had to say that. My husband was going to, present everything, but I had to speak to the misconception that I don't know who said, would not go, someone said if Pure Markets refuses to go along with the instruction of, we have never functioned that way. There should not be any misunderstanding that we will do everything we can to comply with the town. But I also want to make sure that at the initial meeting, it was agreed by Miss Anglin and Chief Clamar that we could not institute it by the 16th. So that's why you saw the confusion there. That's why, and we do know that because Chief Clamar came and spoke to us after and said that he reminded Miss Anglin of the agreement. So I'll let my husband speak now. Thank you.
My name's Jim Wilson. I'm the sole proprietor of Pure Markets. My wife and I have been involved with market here at the park since 2015. Matter of fact, my wife was the one that organized the market for the Merchants Association when it existed. And she also managed it from 2015. One thing I got to get off my chest before I get into the rest of this. There seems to be a misconception that we're taking advantage of the taxpayers here in Sunset Beach by using the park. Well, we pay for that. We pay to use that park. And with the plan that you've laid out, or the requests that you've laid out, with paying the town almost $7,000 for 5 months use, 4 hours a day, 1 day a week, that's a pretty damn good price for the town. There's very little extra work they have to do. We clean up after ourselves. That park's in good shape, sometimes better shape than when we leave than when we come in. What's fair about that? We also, now with the inclusion of possibly police helping with the traffic situation, our expenses have doubled if you include that. We heard the figure is $65 an hour for a policeman. They deserve it, but we can't afford that. Do you pay the policeman $65 to be out there? And he's not always out there. He's sitting in his cruiser or whatever you want to call it, cooling off. But the volunteers don't have that luxury. And most of the volunteers we've talked to, I thought it would be an easy thing to get these people to do this. But it's not. They're 70 years old, for crying out loud. You know, you're going to be out there for 4 hours in the hot sun, trying to direct traffic, which you have no expertise in, don't know what you're doing. I heard it mentioned the other day when we were at the, what was the last? Oh, plausibility. A police official said to me, they're not doing this right. They don't know what they're doing. They're not helping. Well, when we get our volunteers together, we're going to meet with a police official, and we want them to lay it out, tell us exactly what we should be doing and how to do it. We don't want to make the matters worse by doing something wrong or creating a safety situation. Which leads me to this. Since 2015, we've had a market every Thursday for at least 5 months in that park. How many accidents during market days, market hours, has there been? Anybody know? I know. 0. How many pedestrians have been hurt by automobiles, trucks, whatever, ramming into them as they were walking to the market? Since 2015, you know how many? Absolutely none. So how can you call this a safety issue? All right, we've heard it enough. So we're going to say, okay, we know it's grown, but it wasn't a safety issue till, maybe 3 weeks ago, when one squeaky wheel finally starting to get greased. That's the way we look at it. We've heard that the town is a complaint response-based organization. So you're only going to do something if someone complains about it. But what's fair in one person or a small group ruining a good thing for others, creating a situation where you've got 70 small businesses that really rely on this park for their income. It's not fair. We haven't done anything wrong. You know what? We don't know we're doing something wrong till you guys got to come and tell us. We've never been advised of an ordinance until this year. This is wrong. That's wrong. Okay, we'll fix it. If we can. But we don't have an unlimited bank account. None of us do. We're small-time businesses. And it's just not right that you guys are harassing us the way you are.
No one is being harassed.
Well, I beg to differ, Councilman. I really do. When we have our banners torn down, when we're not here, no one asks us to take it down. When we have a limited number of days that we can keep our banner up And I see signs out that have been out for a month on our roadways advertising somebody buying used campers. What's fair about that? We pay to put that banner up there. And up until 3 weeks ago, we could put it up all summer. People driving by here all the time look at that and say, oh, that's a good idea. I'll go spend some money and we'll go to a restaurant. Or we'll have to pay tax on that eventually finds its way back to Sunset Beach. Oh, that's a bad thing because we're a private enterprise. That's baloney. That's we pay for this. Now, I'll tell you what, we hear what you're talking about, and I don't want to be accused of sandbagging or anything like that because that is baloney. And I'll tell you what, we've been working real hard to put together a team to do what you want for something we feel is not really as bad as everybody thinks it is. But we'll go along with it because we are committed to our vendors. We're not going to leave them hanging. We'll take a hit. But by God, you guys better change your rules around here on how you treat your citizens. Many of us are Sunset Beach citizens. All that money we make over there comes back. A portion of it comes back to this town to help this town. You can't tell me that they do anything different over there week to week because we have a market over there. Your public works guys. They come in there, they cut the grass once in a while. They'll empty the trash cans. Every once in a while, they'll clean the restrooms. That's all we ask. And then we pay you for it. In my opinion, a lot of money. But enough of that. I'll get off that soapbox. I've got some things here I want to show you. Here's our plan, and then we can go over it together. We're going to bite the bullet here for a while. Because we want our vendors to know that when we commit to something, you can count on us.
Okay.
Lisa,
There's two. There's
Yeah,
two.
we got it.
This is our plan, people. And I'll tell you what, it's not exactly, but it's very close to what you've been asking us to do. The reason we didn't come up with it till today is because we worked our butts off this last weekend. We've been calling people. And finally, we were rewarded with one of our great nonprofits here at Sunset Beach. The Turtle Watch program has offered volunteers to team up with our volunteers and a couple of your officers to control the traffic. Make it safe. Well, wasn't it safe before? No, people were just lucky for 15 years or 10 years or whatever it was. Just lucky there wasn't an accident. Just lucky no one got hit. Well, I'll tell you what. After that many years in existence, maybe it's not such a dangerous world here around the park. But we'll go ahead with it till we can come up with something on a more permanent basis. We'll do what you ask. But when we come back, we expect to be rewarded with a permanent contract for the season. these vendors need to have some confidence in that they'll be able to work at the park through the season. They plan their years like that. Don't pull the rug out from under them. They're doing a good thing for this town. Now, I ask you to please read what I've given you. There are no holes in it. It's an interim plan till we can get with the chief, get some confidence built up in those volunteers that we can send them out there in the hot sun for an hour, even though they may be 70 years old. They're going to do it. And I thank God for those people. They're true good citizens. Now, all I ask is that you read that and you grant us something in writing for a change, that we will be able to continue the market through the end of this year as it's been approved. But you know what? We didn't gain paperwork on it. So there's your out. We've never got paperwork. One time we got a certificate of approval for use of the park. That's pretty cool.
May I just interject a second?
Yeah.
We have let you go on for close to 25 minutes of browbeating us.
Oh, really? Well,
Yes.
see, there's another
Yes.
rule I was never aware of.
No, you haven't heard of it all. It's just think about the common sense of you've got 3 people out
Okay.
here that you're trying to convince to work with you, to do something with you,
Okay.
to work in a positive manner.
Okay.
And I, for one, have been yelled at enough this afternoon. Why don't you go through the plan and let's work through how you want to resolve this?
Unfortunately, I've given you my copy. So
I read it, so you can have it if you need it. I read it all.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I have a couple of comments and questions.
Well, you want to let him go ahead? Let him go ahead. And he's got the
let me
floor.
finish with this and then
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll sit in. All right. You asked us to come up with a plan. We've come up with a plan. We've asked volunteers among the market community to volunteer. We've asked, as I said before, some nonprofit organizations to help us. They all agreed. We're going to take you up on your suggestion to hire 2 officers that can be there at the busiest time, which would be 3 or 4 hours. I'm not sure. I'll give you 4 hours, each of them. The rest of the time, we will join the 2 officers. One of our volunteers will join the 2 officers during the busy time, take care of traffic, make sure people are safe. In the times where things are thinning out, where we have vendors coming in to set up, they know what they're doing. There's not a problem with those people, but we'll have 3 volunteers there to help make sure. At the same way at the end of the market.
I'm sorry, which point is that, Jim? I'm missing something. You lost me.
He's basically in 1. You have 0.1. He's just reading. Yeah, he's reading.
I just didn't see it written here. That's why I was confused. I'm good.
Okay.
So it's 3 volunteers. Excuse me. It's 3 volunteers during a setup.
Three
per
volunteers at setup
and takedown,
and at the end of the market.
And during
when our vendors are tearing down.
Okay. And during the market.
So 9 to 1.
Okay.
We'll have policemen there, 2 policemen and 1 volunteer.
And 1 volunteer.
Yeah. That was a recommended number by Chief Clamar.
Okay.
All right. That should cover it. He knows what's going on. All right. Just for your information, we've reached out to a lot of other people. It was a pretty big challenge. One that I didn't anticipate. But by our plan, I think we got this thing covered. Our ultimate goal is to have all volunteers. This is really an expensive endeavor where we're going to have to go to our vendors and ask them, can you contribute to the traffic control fund, surcharge, whatever you want to call it. We also have, just for your information, a police officer whose wife is a vendor, and he's offered his services, and he'll be at the market on Thursdays. If something should come up that we don't have an idea on how to handle, or maybe just need some help because of volume. I think if you look this over, we've got this thing. We've got it. The reason it took until today to get this is because it's been like pulling teeth to find some people that we felt comfortable with that could do it without endangering themselves or somebody else. So now we finally got it. And so we respectfully ask y'all to approve this plan so we can all move forward. Maybe I can calm down a little bit. Talk about any other thing you guys want to talk about. But this is the key right here. Okay? Now I can answer any questions you may have. I'm sorry I ran over the time, Councilman.
Are you finished before I open it up to them, or you got? Okay.
This is very
whoever
important.
Needs to go ahead. Charlie, you had asked while ago, so go ahead.
First, Jim, talking about 70-year-olds are going to volunteer out in the sun. That would make them all 5 years younger than me. So please don't play that. These poor volunteers. You say you paid $7,000 for 5 months. That'd be 20 markets.
22 markets.
22 markets. So to pay that, you obviously are making money.
I'm not doing this for free, Councilman.
Well, certainly you're not. But 2 weeks ago at the market, y'all are running the market. You're supposed to be overseeing everything. But you and Chris were so busy at your lemonade stand, and you may remember I said, where are the grandkids? Because you had told me earlier that the grandkids were going to run the lemonade stand. But you can't be a vendor and run the market too.
Yes, you can. Sorry.
Well, I don't see it. I don't see it working.
Charlie, are you making that a rule?
Pardon me?
Is that a rule saying that we do run the market and have a lemonade stand? We are always available if there's an emergency or question or anything that comes up. We are always available and we leave the stand. And if Chief Clamar was here, he would tell you that. There was a problem with parking one day. He came and told me somebody was parked near the stop sign. I left what we were doing, and I think he explained that to in front of Miss England, and went out and found the person who was illegally parked, told them to move their car, and told them if not, they get a ticket and they move their car. We always handle anything that comes up, and our first priority is managing the market.
And in the line of your volunteers, you talk about how much our police officers cost. Well, that's what they do cost. You count benefits and all. There are private security companies that handle traffic that would be a lot cheaper than our police officers.
But
I'm just giving you,
but it takes us time to find them. We've reached out to, you have a copy of to different organizations and haven't heard back yet. So it's going to take us time. We would like to draw from the beach patrol, but we haven't, Jim hasn't had a chance to talk to the chief yet about it. So these are, you have a number of things that we have done and we are continuing to do. But in the interim, we have this planned for Thursday, so no one has to have a concern.
Okay.
Do,
And I'm sorry, one last thing. The market hours are 9 to 1. People are setting up well before 9. Of course, they have to be ready when the market opens.
Yeah.
And some are very late leaving. So the worst times, because people do start showing up at 9 to attend the market, the worst traffic times are at the beginning and at the end.
I respectfully disagree.
That's not correct. No.
Well,
You've got it's like a bell curve here, Councilman. You start here, people start arriving, and the later you get, 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11. 11 is probably a peak time. And then it starts to taper off. By 1 o'clock, there's plenty of room over there. Our vendors aren't out there driving around yet. There's a rule. They have to stay in place unless there's inclement weather or something. They must stay at the market and cannot pack up and go until 1 o'clock.
I'm aware of
Okay,
that.
all right. Same thing in the beginning. The town makes sure we're not in that park before 7 o'clock. And that could be an issue. If we have volunteers that are working the traffic in the morning, they're going to need extra time, or they're going to need to get into that park a little earlier than 7 o'clock to set up their space where they sell their goods. But let's not even go there yet. We're going to try it this way. But the key here, it's internal. We're going to check out these other places. But it's something you cannot do overnight. You can't do it in 2 weeks. We're working on it. We want to stay here. Well, we want our vendors to enjoy that experience along with everybody else. Well, it hadn't been that way this year. We got a squeaky wheel over here. And I think he's giving too much credence on what he says and does. But that's a whole nother ballgame. I want to get this approved. I hope you guys approve it. It's reasonable. It's what you asked for. Let us continue until we can come up with a more permanent plan. I guarantee you it's not going to take us till the end of the year, but we would like a commitment from you telling us that, yeah, as long as you do at minimum this, you can reaffirm your commitment to the small businesses that are over there trying to make income. That's all we're asking for, and we certainly will be back to you as things progress, but they're not going to progress like this.
And we will submit a plan to Chief Lamar every week if it changes. This will be our plan going forward until we have volunteers that have been trained for safety and liability by Chief Lamar. And then we may or may not need the 2 officers from 9 to 1.
And John had something.
my first question, have you already coordinated to lay on, to get the commitment of 2 police officers for this coming Thursday?
No,
I think it was
we thought.
requirement by the town that we either that we either have 3 volunteers for every hour that of the market, or the town was going to charge us for police officers. We have enough volunteers for the times that we have specified. Otherwise, I thought the town was going to impose that on us. That was our understanding. and pose a bill, if you will, for officers' time at $65 an hour.
Where is the communications where, number one, in our regular police staffing schedule, there's not 2 surplus police officers available?
That's new to me. And
Well,
you mentioned communication.
Yeah, what
It's
is,
greatly lacking. It's greatly lacking.
it takes 2 ways.
Yes,
And I'm
and
talking and I'm not yelling at you yet,
Okay.
but you've been yelling at us for a while, so let's keep talking, please.
Okay.
Okay.
John,
We have a couple of things that go on there. We have this past Thursday when you pulled off, we had police officers there, based on a report from the chief, a total of about 6 hours. That was the three from the command structure, and then the 3 patrol sergeant and 2 patrol officers coming back and forth there. That meant that they were not available to do any of the other work around the town that they normally do. Busy beach season, a lot of traffic everywhere else going on.
It's up.
There's
Go ahead.
so it's one commitment, and I don't, Deputy Chief, are you prepared to discuss whether the police department can provide 2 officers out of the regular rotation on this coming Thursday? Because there's also a second side of that problem, is the way the shifts are day, night, and continuous.
that's all new to us, John.
Is getting people to come in off duty is also not something that can be directed by the police chief. It has to be volunteered. Am I missing something?
Just like
You need
You need a
to
microphone,
go
sir.
back to either come up to the front or go.
just like finding volunteers to help. It's not something you can do overnight. So if you're going to need to hire police officers, we're going to need some time to get that scheduled, and it can't just be done in a day or two.
Okay. Is it reasonable to then that this is new information for us, because we thought our choice was either to find volunteers or hire the police.
Right.
Or
But they-
hire,
We
The
thought,
police that are scheduled to work on Thursday have already been hired,
Okay.
and they're getting paid.
okay, so
If you don't have volunteers and you need to hire police, those are going to be police that aren't already working. That's the problem. If it wasn't a problem for on-duty officers to be there, we wouldn't be having this discussion. That is a problem for them to spend their time there. So the officers you need to hire, we need to know in advance so we can schedule that.
well, that's news to us. Thank you very much for the information. How do we do that? I mean, really, our understanding was you either use our police officers and pay them, or you find volunteers. That was the directive that we got. You either pay us or get your own people.
it was,
Apparently, it must have been understood that there needs to be some time for this to happen.
That-
I guess
that was
if,
not
if it wasn't
communicated to us.
communicated, then
No.
volunteers, private companies, or the town's police force.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go after the town's police force like any place else, you have to make arrangements.
And we're supposed to, and
And you have to request them.
this is the first we're hearing of it. Lisa, why in all these meetings have you not said if you need police people, you
Ken
have to
did say that.
schedule them? You didn't say that,
Yes,
Lisa.
Ken did say that at our
Ken's-
meeting that you were not at. Ken
Oh,
did
in a
say
meeting
that.
we were not at. So how
We
would
were
we
not.
know that?
We met with Jim. We didn't meet with you. We met with Jim. And
Well,
during that
Lisa, do
meeting,
you remember-
we explained to him
All right.
that with the leniency that we could give you all was the contacting and getting the written approval from the private business owners.
That's
Ken
a whole
stressed
different
to you that
subject.
day that Shoreline Drive West and Sunset Boulevard North intersection was a major concern and need to be controlled, and the boat ramp was another main concern. that
And we
needed to
know
be
all this. You're
controlled.
reiterating things that we
And-
already know.
Everything else we would try to help you all with until you could get the volunteer base lined up.
Okay. So is that
So
offer still
those
standing?
two were stressed to you, that those two areas needed to be taken care of last Thursday.
Okay. Is your offer to help us out with it until we can get the volunteers in place? Is that still an offer?
If you get those two
So
areas
we need-
covered,
we
Ken
need-
said
oh,
he could
okay.
give you some assistance
Okay.
until
Then
you
please,
could get them, but you need
please
to get them
spec-
done hired quick, or your volunteers lined up quickly. Because as the mayor and John and all these guys know, the taxpayers are footing that bill.
Lisa,
because these
you're
are all
reiterating things that we know and we're going over, and that has been our experience in communicating with you. You just reiterate things over and over. We are saying we have a plan. What you didn't clearly say, and you're saying for the first time now, is that we have to make arrangements for the police officers that the town has said are going to be required had we not found enough volunteers.
The
Now-
council
now
made it
it's-
very clear at the June 6th meeting when they passed the directives that they gave Ken and I. And then we met with Jim and explained those to him. And Ken said in there, you need to find volunteers. They're going to be cheaper than his force is. He also explained to Jim that day the difficulty he would have finding off-duty officers to work, and stressed then for you to find your own volunteers or to hire the private companies,
Yes.
which he said, call Myrtle Beach, call Horry County, call the Blue Crab Festival, call any event, major event.
So I'd like to go back to and your offer to help out until we have enough time to get an all volunteer. Is that's
Kids-
what we're being expected to get an all volunteer group together to monitor the parking and stuff.
Or a private company, security company that would do that.
Right.
Or make arrangements to hire police officers who, for the most part, have to be off duty if they're available.
In your
And in the analysis that the chief made with the staffing and with the shifts they have, they're likely to have no more than 3 officers at any one time that would be available to work on Thursday as off duty. And that is only if they are willing to do that. He's not going to tell them to do
I
that.
would ask you then why this is the first time this has been communicated to us.
You didn't come in on Friday.
This is not the first time
I
it's
think
been
we didn't come in
communicated.
on Friday.
Yeah.
What was Friday?
Well, Friday was when the chief was explaining all the issues that he had with Thursday.
Were we invited or
I don't know.
That's the Friday that we met with Jim.
We
All
weren't
this was explained.
invited.
No, she said it's the meeting that
Okay.
they had with you.
So the question becomes, to run this market on Thursday, 23rd, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. You're able to provide 3 volunteers in the AM for traffic, 3 in, this is opening, setting up, okay, to be clear. 3 setting up, 3 PM takedown. You have 1 volunteer to work with the police.
And that's an off-duty officer. So very qualified.
One of our off-duty officers.
Mhm. Officer Rangeli is part of our market. And he has offered as a volunteer his time. So we know he's a
Okay,
well-qualified person.
Okay.
So will he be a continual volunteer?
Well,
You're saying every
well,
week, or you're
well,
not sure?
right now we're doing.
Interim. He has committed to 4 hours
Okay.
Um,
Go ahead.
this
I
week
got it.
and next week.
Okay.
Right now we need to.
Yes.
Just kind of
Yes.
attacking Thursday. The question is, what's the capability of the police department, assuming there are no emergencies or crises or anything, to have 2 officers available from the regular shifts to support 9 to 1. Is that doable or not doable, or?
That's still the taxpayers' money.
And-
Do you have any off-duty officers that you think would come back?
We can start looking into it. As soon as we leave here, we can hop on the phone and start putting those feelers out. So, of course, it sounds like we're there's one call we don't have to make because he's already committed to be a volunteer. So,
Right.
I guess we won't be able to use him.
Right.
So can I,
So we need
can
one
I
more.
answer?
One more then.
So,
If he's the volunteer, we need 2 police officers.
Yeah,
May I
yeah.
ask you when we would know, by what time we would know if you're able to supply the 2, for planning for the week?
And that's the problem with the planning. That's why we have stressed over and over and over that you need to get your own volunteers or hire a private company.
You haven't
Because
stressed
our law
that, Lisa.
enforcement
Please,
Our law
please,
enforcement
Lisa.
cannot support
Please,
this
Lisa.
event every week.
Please, Lisa. Just be
It has
genuine in
been
what you're
stressed
saying.
by both of us repeatedly.
I have a question. Then in regard to the emergency of parking regulations.
well, before we finish that,
Okay.
let's see if
All
we
right.
see
Okay.
if we can come up with a plan for Thursday.
Okay. We thought we had one.
Okay, but it's clear now that it's not all the way operational yet to do that. So, can we, for this Thursday, and Lisa, you would have to concur with this, to commit either to find 2 more volunteers to be off or part of the daytime shift to take that, hoping nothing else goes wrong.
If council directs that, that'll be done for this Thursday.
And when will we be notified?
Well, if the council's directing us to take care of it for the 2 officers this week, it will be taken care of.
Well,
But the council's
it will
not,
not be
the council's
taken care
not
of
directing
next
that yet. Yeah.
okay. What I maybe if you do want to direct that, possibly give us the opportunity to see if anybody wants to come in
Mhm.
To be the 2 officers that they're willing to hire, and if we absolutely can't meet that goal, then this would be the last week of us footing the bill, so to speak. I guess.
I'm sorry. Let me be clear on this. I thought we were going to be charged $65 an hour for the off-duty policemen.
Yes, ma'am.
So it wouldn't be taxpayers' money. We would actually be paying for them.
No, what I said is, I don't think we're going to charge you for people who are on duty already, are we?
No.
They're already getting paid.
Okay. An option that was presented to us was to get off-duty Sunset Beach police officers, and we would pay $65 an hour for the.
Right.
And that's correct.
And
if
what-
they're
what-
off duty, you will be charged the $65. If
And
they
what
are
I'm
on
saying,
duty-
if we cannot provide those 2 officers this Thursday, then if we're going to cover, the on-duty officers would cover. But for now on, of course, we need to come up with a time limit on a much earlier deadline for us to be able to plan ahead.
We're asking for 1 week.
So he's going to try to attempt
Well-
to get the off-duty officers.
Yeah, and if he doesn't, the police
Police
department
department.
will provide the on-duty police support for this week
from 9 to 1.
from 9 to 1. Yeah.
So to be clear, crystal clear, if he is able to find off-duty officers, you will be charged $65 per hour per officer. If it is administrative staff that is on duty already, you will not be charged the $65. Is that understood?
It's understood.
Great.
Thank you for being clear. I
Great.
appreciate it.
I just have one question.
I have a question
How
for
much
Joe.
lead time would you need to set up maybe a schedule for some of these off-duty police officers to $65 an hour? I know that's a short time. We've experienced this too, but
We just want to work
do you
with
need
you,
2
Joe.
weeks, 3 weeks
yeah.
out? What would that be?
What would be perfect is if we knew now how many markets, the dates,
Yeah.
and how far ahead, and we can go ahead and start scheduling for
Okay.
all of them now.
Then let us request it for the following week also, in case we need it. We don't anticipate that we will, but just to give you fairness and lead time. And then if you can find them, we'll pay for them. What we want to avoid is with our vendors is not knowing if we're going to hold market that week. So, I would really love to work with you on this so that we're reasonable with you and that we can know that we can have what
I would say right now, the best thing for you to do is to plan
Okay.
to find those volunteers.
Oh, we are
Make sure
working
you
on that.
definitely have
Yeah.
something in place for Thursday.
Yes.
If we can get the officers, then we're good. If, well, it sounds like this week it's going to be covered, whether you're paying or if it's going to be on duty people. After that, are we saying this is going to be the last week of this? Or if they decide that this is the last week that's going to happen, then I would say you need to make sure that people are already in place, even volunteers. Just like a volunteer, a police officer, any kind of emergency could come up, and if one can't be there, then you're going to need to fill those shoes.
If we could communicate with you and Chief Clemar about that, so that we're reasonable with you too, that we would just let you know how we're coming along and be able to say, looks like we might need to pay for the next week. We'd like to give you enough advance notice so it's reasonable for you too. And then we can work it out and we can communicate so that we'll know, we won't just find out that we can't have a market that week. We can't run our business like that. You understand that.
May I interject here a minute, Joe?
Yes.
Okay. Even if, I don't think anybody in the council wants to commit the police department to be chasing off-duty police officers on a week-by-week basis. The discussion that I had with the chief is at most there would be 3 people available, and some of them would be coming off of 3 days of doing their 12-hour shift, getting off at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we're asking them to stay another 4 or 5 hours to do this work. It takes away all their free time in the regular schedule. Some of them have other jobs elsewhere. So you should not depend on the police department providing off-duty police officers for you.
Okay.
Period. We'll do it. They have the effort to find somebody who will work this week, and if not, the police department active duty will cover it. But beyond that, you really can't expect that to happen. So that's where either training your volunteers, finding them, or finding a private company that might be able to do it at a much lesser cost. When it comes to training the volunteers, the chief said he's available, or we'll have somebody available at 3 o'clock Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, any of our officers are able to train for directing traffic and parking.
There needs to be he had said 3 o'clock Wednesday afternoon.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
May I ask if Officer Rangeli has offered to train volunteers? Is that acceptable?
I have to toss that
Well,
to the chief.
someone just said that all the officers are able to train. He has volunteered to train our volunteers.
that takes the burden off of our police department going out and finding it as part of a function to do that.
We would probably want to put something together as an agency to make sure that whatever is being taught is
100%.
100% right.
And Wednesday, 3 o'clock is a suitable time to present that.
That's what the chief said. That's what we'll do.
That's what I heard the chief say. Doesn't mean he said it. That's what I heard. Okay, and it would be back here at Town Hall
It can
someplace.
be, or he volunteered to be on site to meet him at the park
At the
and
park
train
to do
there,
that.
That'd be
wherever.
great.
Okay, and so that should be.
So that's short notice. Again, it's Monday, it's Wednesday. We would have to see if the volunteers could make it, see if we could make it. We have family in town this week too. We would like to live a life outside of the Sunset Beach Market. We would like to spend our one day with them.
That one's not going to work. We're trying to get this so that the town is supporting you. We're concerned with the public safety, and we're trying to find a solution to handle the public safety. Just because you disagree with the safety issue doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Okay, so we're working with you to do that.
Let me ask a question now, in regard to public safety. For the concerts on Wednesday night, parking is not enforced.
We're not talking about the concerts.
I
on
know,
Wednesday night.
but we're talking about fairness and we're talking about safety,
We're
Charlie.
talking about use of the park.
Oh, we're talking, okay. I'll let it go.
It's the parking.
Yeah,
During
leave
concerts has been planned. Don't worry. It's been planned.
Okay, because
Believe me.
we have pictures that,
Stick with the
I will.
park. Stick
Okay.
with what you're doing.
all right, yes,
Yeah.
okay.
Create
So we know
a
what we're gonna do
cooperative
this week.
attitude here.
Okay. And those trained volunteers should include the volunteers that you have with helping with the setup in the morning and the afternoon.
course.
3 and 3. So basically for this week, you should have 7, including the off-duty police officer. Who are getting training.
We'll have 7,
Supplement,
including,
we may be able to get from the police department.
Okay.
If it's none, we'll have a bunch of guys there that aren't very well trained.
Mm.
But they'll be there.
Okay. I would suggest yellow vest.
we have
Or
yellow vests,
something.
we've purchased them.
Already invested in the vest.
Good. All right.
All right, any other questions?
Yeah,
Um,
Go ahead, you
Well-
still got. the
well,
floor,
I'm
so
just-
go ahead.
Go ahead. Charlie has a question.
Go ahead, sir.
I want to make sure everybody understands that at any one time, we have 3 police officers and 1 police sergeant on duty to cover the whole town, island and mainland. And if they have to go and concentrate on the market for several hours, the rest of the citizens in this town are without police protection. And as far as safety goes, you say there's been no accidents. It's not what has happened, it's what can happen.
There are a lot of things that can.
You just want to argue, so
No.
I'm done.
Any other questions?
Is that
Mike, do you have anything?
No, I'm good.
well? My concern then comes. We have the 23rd set, so we're looking at for the 30th, the market on the 30th. You will have this plan plus the enhancement version of it.
Well, I can give you a plan right now, but I won't have the things back up. So
Okay.
I can't guarantee.
Okay.
We gotta rely on other.
Be
Speaking to the
mic so they
microphone,
can hear you.
please.
Um, I'm sorry. I can't guarantee that, John, or Councilman, because you have to rely on other people to respond to your inquiries. That's what we ran into with our discussion with Lisa. I knew it would be not definite that we could do something by the 16th. I knew that we would give it our best shot. We came up short. We had a few things that we put in place, or we could put in place, but I wanted to get a full team in there. I don't want to piecemeal it. And I was under the impression that God, I don't want to hash this over again.
Well, then don't. Then
Don't-
don't.
I
don't-
won't.
You
But-
already did that one once, so.
Okay. All right.
So we have this Thursday. We know that police department will back it up. But we're not guaranteeing, we're no longer going to be prepared to give active duty police officers on the 30th. And so you will need to have your plan ready and in place and going on the 30th.
Okay. All right.
And there's a side to that. If it's not working, or it doesn't work, or you don't have a plan and you don't have the people out there, then the council will be in a position where we will consider shutting you down. Okay, so you need to have a traffic control plan in place. We've discussed one to have in place, and that's to expect.
In part, is this plan, if we had whatever it takes for to fully staff with volunteers, would this be an acceptable plan for the town? Or do I have to design a whole new plan?
Lisa,
I'm sorry.
can you live with this plan if that becomes the standard? I think it should be the minimum standard.
Our goal is to have an all-volunteer army here.
Is to not have one?
Sure. You got experience. No, but that's our goal, okay?
Yeah.
And we know in the interim we may have to take a hit or two.
Yeah.
But we're prepared for that. That's basically what I should have said in the beginning instead of hashing this whole thing out. So we respectfully ask for you guys to approve what we got going here and keep those lines of communication open.
Lisa, moving forward now, the Wilsons, who is their point of contact now in town?
Ken.
Ken.
Ken is
That's
okay.
your point of contact. That's the
Good
call.
point, Mr. Hargrave. We need to know who the points of contact are.
That's your point of contact.
Okay.
Always concentrate on him, talk to him, communicate with him, listen to him,
Yes, Councilman.
and you'll make us a lot happier.
That's my goal, to make you happy, sir.
It doesn't hurt to be bureaucratic. It doesn't hurt to be bureaucratic.
I
and
know
do a
I'm
memo
not doing
for
a good
record
job
about
this
you sign it.
afternoon, but hey, I'll get better at it. Okay?
Ken and I would like direction from the council on what we do on the 30th and the 7th if these conditions are not met prior to your July 11th meeting.
So if we don't have that by the 30th, we cancel that market, and hopefully in that time they'll have everything together for the 7th.
I just want to know, do you need it in writing, our plan in writing, or do we just need to communicate it to the chief?
You'll be dealing with the chief.
Okay.
He will prefer it in writing for your plan.
We'll communicate with the chief.
Yeah, and that could be brief, but
Sure.
communicate with the chief.
Absolutely.
He's the one who'll tell us.
He's a very good person to communicate with.
He's the one who will tell us.
He's very clear.
If nothing's in place,
Right.
or if everything's in place.
Right.
So concentrate on him.
We will be happy to work with the chief. He's wonderful at communicating. He's a great chief.
We agree.
So,
Words to the wise. When you come back, when we're talking, let's talk each other and talk things out instead of getting upset. Because I don't deal too good with that. I try to stay calm because I promise y'all, I am a terror if I get upset. And I'm trying not to be. I've got heart deals, so I'm trying to stay calm.
Okay.
But when you're being, I understand you're upset because I'm a small business owner.
Yeah.
But talking just like we're talking right now goes a long way.
And I think that I communicated that desire. I sent an invitation to all councilmen, Miss England, to just meet with us, talk to us, come to the market, observe the market, talk to us instead of letting us find things out because it's printed on an agenda or because we're called at the last minute to a meeting. We are very open and we are very willing to work with anybody and everybody in the town. We just need the town to communicate with us instead of just finding out that something's on the agenda and then we react to it. Or in the case of the banner, just reach out to us, ask us to take down the banner. You know, there is a lack of communication. And I have invited each one of you, and Mr. Hargraves Greaves did come, and we had a conversation with him. We appreciated him coming to the market. John always comes to the market.
And
Charlie
unlike
always
the
comes
rest
to
of
the
these
market.
people, I'm not retired, and I work every day, most times 7 days a week, out of town.
Yeah.
So,
Joe, do you have
and I'm
something
here
else?
when I
But
can be.
I'm just saying our invitation's
Yes,
there.
Okay,
Joe has something.
Joe has some.
Yes.
I would like to suggest that since the chief of police is going to be your point of contact, that you do keep in mind that your plan, which I believe is pretty much 3 people throughout the day, correct? 3 in the morning, set up, 3 for tear down, and then 1 volunteer and 2 officers, which is 3. If you can't get the 2 officers, are they going to be replaced with just 2 volunteers or what? But that plan that you've just introduced today, I think that needs to also be submitted to the chief, and y'all can discuss that. If he doesn't feel that it's going to be good, then he can tell you what he. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that
we
he
sent
was
a
from-
copy of that to
Okay.
Chief Clamar. So, okay. Okay, I apologize for my over energetic discussion here. I'll take a couple pills of Prozac next time because I don't want the mayor to get upset.
Yeah, we're
Thank
not
you.
quite, we're
Oh,
not
we're
quite.
I
not through,
promise you,
John?
I promise you. I'll do
Okay, I'm
good.
going to get hot again. All right.
Mr. Mayor,
We'll
Go
make
ahead.
you go stand outside, then you can do it naturally.
Go ahead, Charlie.
Okay, so,
Wait a minute. Go ahead, John. You
Well-
talk just 1 second. He just wants to say, but go ahead.
I
Go
was going to make a motion that we close the meeting.
we haven't come to a decision that we've given Lisa.
Ah,
Okay,
Now, Ken and I still need direction from this council on what we do on the 30th and the 7th if this condition, this plan is not enacted.
well, you have my suggestion.
Well, you sit here, he's laid a plan out
yeah,
for you. If they can get volunteers this week, they'll be here. If he puts it out in 2 weeks and they have volunteers and they need them, that plan's there. But if it comes up in 2 weeks and there's no plan, it's mass confusion, then we would have to move in a different direction. That's where you're at right now. I mean, you got to play it by ear and hope that things work out.
To make a motion. That if
I
this
can't make a
plan is
motion. I
not
can't vote. One of
enforced,
y'all guys can welcome to.
if this plan is not enforced, Ken and I have the authority to cancel the market.
So moved.
I'll second that.
and that's for the 30th.
And
No.
the 7th. And then we'll address this again on July 11th when you meet again.
I think in the discussion we had, we were comfortable with the 23rd. The 30th, the question then became, we will no longer provide active duty police support. We'll try to provide, we will reach out to see if we have off-duty police who would support. But if not, the real burden on the 30th is for Pure Market to provide all of the 3 people to be on all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It meets the satisfaction of Ken.
Right.
Yeah.
Chief Claymore, sorry.
So we have a motion, we have a second.
So
So go ahead.
that leaves, I think the 30th is a commitment to do that. And if it doesn't happen on the 30th, then I think you and Ken should have the authority to pull the plug.
For the 7th
For
or
the
for
7th,
the 30th?
For the 7th.
Okay, so if it's not enacted, then you want town staff, police officers that are on duty that day to run the parking and traffic control for the market
On the 30th.
on the 30th.
I don't agree with that.
No, I don't want to,
No.
I don't want that. But what I'm looking for is that's where, there you are, you moved. No, the commitment that you've got to be prepared on the 30th to have volunteers cover the whole day. if 2 off-duty policemen are not available, because
Yeah.
the town will not provide on-duty policemen to do that
That's the way
service
I
on the
understand
30th.
it.
Okay.
And if
If
that doesn't
we can
happen,
get the two off-duty policemen in, that'd be great. If we can't, we'll substitute volunteers. It'll probably be more than 2 though,
Yeah.
Councilman,
Yeah.
because our guys can't stay out there as long.
well,
we-
these numbers are absolute minimums.
Yeah,
I mean, when we sit down, we can come up with a good 7 places
Yeah.
to put
yeah.
traffic control
Yeah.
people.
I'm confident that the combination of the off-duty policemen or maybe off-duty firemen, if that's where we can go, and our volunteers, we can make this work. But our goal is to have all volunteers.
Okay, understand.
You know?
that. Understand that.
So-
but if it doesn't work on the 30th, there would be no event on the 7th, and then the council reconvene on the 11th.
I just want to clarify something, John, with that. You set out parameters for us to meet and goals for us to meet. And now I'm hearing you say that possibly you will revisit this and require more volunteers. You might change this.
No, it didn't. I did not say
Okay,
that.
I just want to be clear.
I said those are minimum standards. It would be
Minimum.
better if you had more. Okay. And meet the minimum standards. And we laid out a plan for the 23rd, and we gave you and we laid out a different change for the 30th in that you do not count on whatsoever any active duty police to be
Sure,
part of your plan on
sure.
the 30th.
I concur with that.
Okay.
So this brings up one more thing. You know, what we think we hear and what we want to hear can be 2 different things. We would really like to have minutes to this meeting after they're published. Can we get that? Okay, then after
Well-
council's approval, we would
Yeah,
like to take a
it'll be
look
on
at
the-
them
it'll
too.
be on
So
the
we
agenda.
know that this is the way it.
Yeah, but the council's not going to give approval until the 11th of July. We don't.
But all
need
of
that.
them will be in the minutes where you can go on there and read everything
Oh,
ahead of
really?
time.
So-
Okay. Well, I
Well,
guess
can-
we can
can
come
we-
and ask
can
you.
we- Can we come up with this sort of a statement, at least of what the conclusions were,
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
and provide that ahead of time?
I have one question for Joe. Is it realistic or feasible to say by the 23rd that you would know if you would have any officers available for the 30th? So we would be able to give them a week notice in advance if you're going to have officers available or not?
We can certainly try. That's cutting it close. We can try our best. I'm not sure that we
I
can
just think-
definitely have that commit. You know, anybody.
Yeah,
committed
I
by
just
then.
think the sooner that we can let them know if we are going to
Yeah.
have officers, off-duty officers available to you or not. I think a
Yeah,
week in
the
advance
The
would
sooner
be
we
a good
know that,
notice.
the better, so
Exactly.
we can fill in
Yeah.
with volunteers.
Right.
Good.
So
It,
make
it
that
would be
your-
good if you made the effort tomorrow and Wednesday to reach out and find out if anybody else is willing to work on the 30th.
It's going to start in about 10 or 15 minutes, probably.
All right, that's even better.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
You know, I
Is that clear?
We had a motion, a second is still live on the thing.
Mhm.
So if there's any more discussion, if there's not, I'll call for a vote.
You're going to need to amend it because it included the 30th and the 7th dates. And if you're just going with the 7th as the authority,
Can you read what we agreed to?
I have not written it down. Did you write it?
Come on, John, you don't have to think about this.
So,
Read it out.
had to have, the motion was for the authority for Lisa and cancel the market. If on, if the 30th and the 7th, that, can no longer provide active PD, look for off-duty PD. If they're unavailable, then market organizers must have trained volunteers lined up for 6:30 and 7. If these are not met, then Ken and Lisa would have the authority to cancel. So if they know that they're not gonna have the volunteers for the 30th,
Right.
because we weren't,
That was a motion.
it was stated that we were gonna provide active duty for the 30th.
Correct. Yeah.
And we would not want to wait until 6 o'clock on the 30th to cancel the market. I mean, we will coordinate with you. And if we know, I don't want to put a number on it because I don't know what Ken wants to say for his
Okay.
number, but we will know in advance if they are going to have the parking and traffic control covered or not.
And give them like
It's not like
So moved.
authority in case to cancel it, so that we don't have that special, we have a special meeting.
Correct.
Okay.
Are you clear?
No,
No.
I apologize.
Oh,
It's 5:30. I eat at 6, so I guarantee you.
yeah.
No.
Okay.
Okay. My question is,
Okay.
are we, as long as we have sufficient number of volunteers, whether it's a combination of off-duty policemen or all our folks, we will have a market on the 30th.
Mm-hmm.
If you're
And
going
the
to
7th.
cancel a market, the first market that you would cancel would be the 7th of July, correct?
That's what they said.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah.
I,
And it would be the 7th if the 30th falls flat on your face.
right.
Then-
If for some
right.
reason all our volunteers are sick, then it would be a canceled market on the 7th.
Yep.
Right? Okay, and you will give us ample time so we can notify our vendors.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. That's
We're
all
going
I
to
can
try to
ask.
give you 7 days notice.
Yeah, right.
That we will not be able to supply any officers.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll work with Ken and this gentleman here too with that part of the equation. Okay. All right. Thanks for your
The
time.
motion at hand, do I have that motion? Is she just, the motion there now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You okay, Charlie?
You second the amended motion?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There's none. Okay. Anything else?
I move
Right.
that we close the meeting.
Do I have a
Second.
second? Any discussion?
Close.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody, for,
Thank you for being here.
your
Yes.
community interest and willingness to listen to this activity.